and welcome to Face, our current affairs show where we explore the most pressing issues from a Central Eastern European perspective. My name is Kalczyńska and joining me today is Michał Broniatowski, Editor-in-Chief of TVP World. Michał, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's begin with the unprecedented attack by Russia, which launched an intercontinental ballistic missile during this morning attack on Ukraine. And this strike comes just days after Ukraine used US and British missiles against targets on Russian soil, a move which Russia had long warned would constitute an escalation. So what should we make of this one?
What were the direct reasons for Russians to use middle-range intercontinental weapon is not that important now once they use it. What is really seriously concerning is that these missiles cannot be shot down with the use of Patriot rockets, which are now deployed in Ukraine. And as long as there is anything available to Ukrainians to defend, these rockets will be freely hitting whatever they choose, apparently. The problem is that these missiles have to be treated with specially prepared missiles called THAAD, or another type is surface-to-air rocket called SM-6. The problem is that there are less than 20 batteries of these missiles in America. One of them is in Israel, so they certainly are being deployed to defend American soil against a possible attack through intercontinental missiles. So it will be really difficult for America to share even one of them to Ukrainians, and this is really dangerous. These Russian rockets, which usually carry 4 warheads with a total might of over 1 million tons GMT. This is horrible, and we could see footage from Dnipro from tonight in which we could see the explosion, which was really huge. They apparently hit car factory or machines factory in Dnipro, formerly Dnipropetrovsk, and but it's obvious that the Ukrainians are producing weapons there, and it was what happens if they decide to hit civilian targets,
exactly,
as they have been doing for the last 2.5 years.
So you mean this is a way by the Russians to say, we're not joking, this is for real, and this, when we mean escalation, we really mean escalation, and we are really ready, right?
Yeah, what they are showing is that they don't have to use nuclear warheads. It's enough for them to use these warheads put on this rocket, which is called Rubezh RS-26. They can actually use whatever warheads they like, whatever types, but they are really dangerous.
Okay, so what are the potential next moves in this escalation ladder, let's say, right? Because we're talking about targeting a factory, right? But as we know, cold is worse than hunger, some say. So do you imagine that such a potential could be used against infrastructure, for instance,
of course,
just ahead of the winter coming in Ukraine?
This is the strategic infrastructure is the target of all these bombardments. We have to remember that for the last 2 months, it was each night there was a massive attack, sometimes even by more than 100 projectiles. So it's obviously a target of Russia to destroy energy generation in Ukraine, and they are doing it quite successfully and systematically on the whole territory of Ukraine, even on its western border. And of course these rockets will be much more destructive, and Russians may always say that these attacks on civilians are collateral damage, but even if it is collateral damage, it is horrible.
All this comes after President Putin amended Russia's nuclear doctrine to imply that American weapons produced in the States or in Europe are used to strike Russian soil. That means that the United States are in potential confrontation with Russia, right?
What they said, what is new, is the more specific understanding of the enemy, because until now it was only said that if foreign troops enter the Russian soil, they reserve themselves a right to use nuclear weapons if they deem it necessary. Now, for example, if such a weapon was fired from Polish territory, for example, they say that that means even if it is American missile, it will be considered as the attack by NATO, which means each member of NATO will be responsible for that. We are the closest neighbors, together with the Baltic states. We now have learned that yes, nuclear weapons are still a threat, but Russians have other means to use, and they don't cause massive destruction, but they cause enough destruction to be feared. And
okay, Michał, but what would be the potential answer? What could be the response by NATO?
Well, as I said, it may be really difficult to equip Ukrainians with countermeasures, but of course there are rockets and bombs, very heavy bombs, several tons bombs. They can be delivered to the front line and used. The usage of ATACMS, this Russian American rockets, together with Storm Shadow, the co-production of Britain and France, the use of these rockets already caused quite big losses on the Russian side. The first one to be hit, which was a great dump of weapons, believed to be mostly from Korea, in the Kursk region. And yesterday, on Wednesday, this Storm Shadow attacked a mansion near Kursk, near the front line with the invading Ukrainian troops. And this mansion is supposed to be used by Russian command, high Russian command, and most probably, if so, it's quite probable that it included also high command of Korean troops on the front nearby. So if it was successful, it would be a real embarrassment for Russians that they didn't provide any protection. But let's see what happens. We don't know yet what, apart of the fact that 5 to 6 Storm Shadows landed on this location is already a problem.
All right, so seems like Emmanuel Macron was right saying that Russia does not want peace, not at least at this moment, at this stage.
It doesn't have to be said by Mr.
Everyone knows it. Since you mentioned the North Koreans, there's also this disturbing news from NATO Lake, as we call the Baltic Sea, where a Chinese warship was detained after an attack on a critical infrastructure. So what would be the most, again, reasonable response to the China right now from NATO countries, from the concerned countries?
It is not the first case. We had one like that last year, not one, two, between Finland and Estonia, and also a Chinese ship was a suspect. The method is quite simple. You just throw your anchor and just move on, and in this way you destroy a cable. So it is also a very powerful weapon if used massively by Russians, because they can do it also on Atlantic. It would be very, very difficult to defend against it because you cannot follow every ship in the world, not to mention the submarines. This threatens, global internet. Would be good to see if allies have a sensible response to it.
Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts continue. So let's now move to the Big Five summit in Warsaw. 2 days ago, Polish, German, French, Italian and British foreign ministers issued a joint statement to tackle unprecedented security challenges, it was said. And it was convened that Europe would allocate resources for essential military capabilities and improve resistance to cognitive and hybrid warfare. So does that mean that those Big Five are not only willing but also paying finally?
There are two aspects to what EU or more large in a larger sense, because we could add to it Switzerland, which is not a member of the EU, and Britain, of course. So Europe is, first of all, Europe needs to have a capacity to build weapons, and then Europe needs to have a capacity to have its, or be prepared at least to have an alternative military force in case President Trump decides to withdraw from NATO, whatever. You can expect everything from this president. But if we only limit it to capabilities to build weapons, you need to be able to finance it, to unify production and so on. And this requires a very big cooperation between European countries. And this is not the first meeting, but the first meeting organized just for this topic. And it was organized, we shouldn't forget, by the Polish side. The foreign ministers were participating in it, but it was first mentioned that Poland is just grabbing the rudder of the European defense policy and European Union's reaction to the war in Ukraine. It was the Polish Prime Minister to do that, and there will be another meeting next week in Sweden, which will be attended by Donald Tusk, Polish Prime Minister, and it is a meeting of so-called NB8.
NB8, right.
Yes, it's 5 Scandinavian countries and 3 Baltic countries, and then Tusk will be a guest of honor. This is also very interesting to see a Polish leader to do things like that, and it's encouraging from the Polish point of view, because it means Poland is for the first time probably in European Union, and since its membership started in 2004, that Poland is not following the suit but is leading the suit. And
but someone's missing, right?
Germany. Yes, there is a country at Baltic NATO lake, which is Germany. Tusk publicly said that Mr. Scholz, the German Chancellor, whose government has just collapsed, has his own problems at the moment on his head. But what is really important, what is at stake there, is what was described in the statement of foreign ministers who were meeting on Tuesday in Warsaw. It was that the participants of the meeting decided that they would use all levers available to us, including the economic and financing power of the European Union. What it means? Well, let's translate it into a comprehensible language, because what is the economic power of the European Union? None at the moment. The European Union has the budget, which is created by member states proportionally to their size, and nothing else. So what you need to do, you have to do a similar thing that was done in 2021 when the European Council managed to create a huge fund to support reconstruction after COVID. And it was the first case in history that the European Union was decided on creating common debt. And now is the second such case possible. Interesting if it happens, because the main stumble block to it is, again, Chancellor Scholz, who is staunchly against it. He's afraid that Germany, if common debt is created by the European Union, of course, because of the size of Germany, Germans will be the biggest participant of this huge financial operation. But, on the one hand, probably in the end, it will be, this common debt will be raised, and it will be dozens of billions of euros, because money is the glue of any union in the world. So, if so, this is a very strong step towards a really unified EU. Well, maybe it's too long a shot, but let's see.
Who knows? Let's be optimistic. Why not, right?
Yeah.
But speaking about the financial condition of Europe, indeed, it's not the best. However, as we understand, the European coalition is willing to use the interest rates of the Russian assets. However, the assets themselves and the use of them is still under debate. So why do you think there's still this lack of political will to use those assets, both in Europe and the United States?
Because it's unclear legally. It may well happen that after the war, after these assets are freed and given back to Russia, they may have a case against participants of this agreement, a serious case. It will mean not only giving back this money, but there will be already another interest on interest. So, maybe this is the reason, but let's wait what happens. At least at the moment, Ukraine may expect that they would be provided with access to $50 billion. It's not a small sum.
All right, so we're talking about money, and as long as money is concerned in the EU, we have our man inside, that is Piotr Serafin, the Polish Commissioner for Budget and Finance, and who controls the finance, controls everything, as it is said. He
will have a huge power in the new European Commission, which exactly on Wednesday, yesterday, was finally approved. All candidates were approved by the parliament, and Serafin will be reporting directly to Mrs. von der Leyen, and so they too will be deciding something which is really crucial: the next budget of the European Union, which starts from the 2027. But what is really important about this event, that all candidates for commissarship was finalized in the end after haggling, is that for the first time in the ruling body of one of the ruling bodies of the European Union, there will be a representative of far right, Mr. Fitto from
Raffaele Fitto, right?
From Italy.
Meloni.
Yes, Brothers of Italy, the party of Giorgia Meloni, and he will be a deputy, or one of the 6 deputies of Mrs. von der Leyen, which is a big development in Brussels.
This is interesting, and Poland taking up the presidency the 1st of January next year. Right?
Yes, the preparations are in full swing, but I think we will have a lot of time to discuss it at this table.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Michał, for your insights and for being with us tonight. And that completes this edition of Face to Face. Please do join us every Monday and Thursday at 10:40 CET. Please stay tuned to TVP World. Thank you for watching.